Well, it's been pretty amazing. Writing Kahani, writing Anjana Anjani was, of course, for the big screen. So there are different modalities involved. There's a bigger budget. There are other things, more locations, etc. That you have the luxury of playing around with. But in a web series, I've also written for television serials. So in a web series, and there has been that shift wherein you have a smaller budget to work on, yet at the same time you have a lot of creative freedom, because unlike the box office diktats or the TRPs in television, in the web series it's purely going to go out there to the public, and then it's left to their discretion. They can watch it anytime they want, when they want, for however long they want. So it's a much more direct relationship with the viewer, because whether they watch your show or not depends entirely on the content and not all these other factors. So in that sense, writing for a web series has been extremely liberating, because I think I got a lot more creative freedom than I have experienced in the past. I definitely feel, that there have been situations and occasions where the creative liberty that has been, given to us have been used to make political points or to drive home agenda. And I personally, left a show because I felt like that was happening, that it was being used as a platform to further a certain agenda, and I wasn't comfortable at all with that. So, that I have to say does happen. And we have to, just as creative people, know why we're telling a particular story. If you want to make a story which is about a certain issue, and you want to come out and make the film on that particular issue, go ahead, do it. The country, the constitution gives you that freedom. But if you want to sneak in things into regular stories which have nothing to do with certain topics, because you want to further a certain agenda, I think today the audience is really aware, and they will react and respond to it. So I feel that there is that thin line that every creative person has to walk. It's quite natural that people may not like your aesthetic or your sensibility, and respond to that, and that's a different matter. They may not like the story, they may not like the acting, or for multitude reasons. But I really feel that one should stay away from intentionally trying to offend people, and that those examples, unfortunately, we have seen. So that's really my take on it. You can never ever tell what the audience response is going to be. I think we were a very cohesive team that worked on this. My other co-writers, dialogue writer, Aparna, Nadig, Medhavi Mishra. We were like sort of the core writing team, and I think we put a lot of heart and soul into it, and we really kind of treated it like it was our baby in that sense. And Samar Khan, our producer from Juggernaut, and of course the Woot team, which was just excellent. So, these series and everything are truly a collaborative of effort. At the end of the day, it's a team that comes together and brings out these stories and adds flavor and different complexions to the narrative. So I think from our end, I can assure the viewers that we've worked really hard. We worked many, many months. We've done tons of rewrites to kind of strike the right note and tell a story that is full of twists and turns, and is exciting. So I'm very, very hopeful, and I think I'm even more hopeful today than I was yesterday, because the trailer has been so well received, and that's a real relief. I can tell you that. Yeah, I think there was, of course, a legacy, because there was season one, and it did well, and then season two is really, then the pressure is on you to take it to the next level. So I have always invested a lot in the writing as far as the character development is concerned, because even when it was like, say, the Vidya Bagchi character in Kahani, she was a pregnant woman. There were many layers that I had to add to that story, to her character, to make her seem believable, because she is a person who eventually kind of outwits a lot of the people in the film, film. So same thing with Neha's character, which is Niharika Singh, or Piyush Misraji's character, which is Janardhan Jetli. Again, a very, very interesting characters with multiple layers to them. Be it Niharika, who's a young working lawyer, and really her journey is being a woman in a man's world. Which, whether it's you in the newsroom or me in the writing field, we are all like women in a man's world and trying to make our way and find our way. And of course things are changing, they're getting better. And you have visionary leadership in across the board in different organizations. I know Arnab personally is extremely egalitarian as far as the genders are concerned. So things are getting a lot better. However, it still is a bit of a struggle for women in the world out there. And in a profession like the legal profession, which Niharika belongs to, that's an extremely male-dominated profession as well. And a lot of the big boys on the scene are people like Janardhan Jetli, who are well connected, powerful, have money, and have all these privileges. And really, it's how she maneuvers her way through this, and she strikes out to make her own way and carve her own identity. So I think this season is really about her discovering her power, the power that we all have as women, that lies within, that lies latent, and firing that up. So I think this season is really about that. And of course, it's got a lot of thrills. Oh, absolutely. I'm all about, strong and interesting women characters, be it Priyanka in Anjana Anjani, I was so clear that this, and remember, Anjana Anjani is about 10, 11 years old, right? It's not a new film. The industry was very different at that point of time. But even when I was writing that, I was very clear that this was as much Priyanka's film as it was Ranbir's, in terms of their characters. They would have as much screen space, equal footing in their development and their personalities and their character development. And the director, of course, Siddharth Anand, agreed. And the film was truly about these two main leads. It wasn't, the woman kind of just being there and the hero kind of taking away all the scenes and all the lines and everything. So that was my challenge with Anjana Anjani, because it was a commercial film. And the sort of the setup of a commercial film, especially at that time, was very male dominated. And of course, Kahani, completely female centric. Vidya was probably the only woman apart from Agnes de Mello who gets killed at very early in the film. And for me, that was also on purpose, because, this whole existing and operating in a man's world syndrome, I wanted to manifest that visually, so that when the audience was watching the film, they saw only one woman and all these men around her, and realized that this is her journey, this is her experience, but it resonates with so many women. Although we may find ourselves in more mixed gender places, but the journey can be very lonely. So that was really what I was doing through Vidya's characterization and the development of the other characters around her in Kahani. And of course, with Niharika Singh and Neha Sharma, again, this is a new generation. This is a millennial heroine. She's grown up differently. She's had certain experiences. She's a lot more emancipated in her attitudes to life. With her in sync with her generation and the times. But yet, she faces the same sort of struggles in a different way, in a way wherein, she has to again say that if I'm going to strike out on my own, if I'm going to move out of patronage or godfather syndrome and say that I'm going to do this on my own, then how is my power that I possess going to be realized? So for Niharika, really, her journey is, I think, a journey that a lot of young professional women in the big cities especially will understand and relate with, because it's a combination of so many factors. It's a combination of your own personal freedoms and liberties, as well as social mores, as well as absentee relationships and all those complexities, and then yet leading the life of an aggressive professional. So I think she's a very millennial heroine. I mean, it's frankly, it's absurd. I don't know what is happening. I know UP elections are on, and often the BJP is blamed or accused of polarizing. But what we are seeing and what has been happening for very long is that the Congress is the master at polarizing. The only difference was that they did it through appeasement of minorities. And you're seeing the same thing happen again. I don't know what their plan is in UP, because the kind of utterances that are coming from there, for example, Akhilesh Yadav saying Jinnah was awesome. I'm paraphrasing him, but literally that's what he meant. And now Salman Khurshid, who is also very active in UP politics, coming out with this attack on Hindutva, which is followed up by another party member. Who is bringing religion and communal aspects into the election? They are bringing it. The so-called secular parties are bringing this element in. I'm yet to hear the other parties, say BSP or BJP, really come up with any kind of these statements so far. But now, if they do, then who can blame them? Because the Samajwadi Party and the Congress has already started this whole attack on Hindutva, and Hindus are like this and Hindus are like that, and trying to shame Hindus. I think it's not required. Focus on the facts, focus on the issues of the day. There are so many issues. This government, Yogi Adityanath's government, has done really well in the state, by the way. I mean, people are very happy, and he's very strongly placed there. Let's not make any mistake about that. But even then, it's still an incumbent government who's been in office for 5 years. So why not pick on those issues? Why are you getting into all this Hindus are like this, like that, Hindutva, etc., conversations? So I think the public needs to realize who exactly is doing the polarizing and communalizing. I'm really, the fans loved the first season. It's India's most popular legal show. So there was a huge responsibility on us, on the writing team, to really kind of go out there and deliver on those expectations. And all I can tell you is that we've worked really hard on that. Through the pandemic, we've been working on it, and went through every line, every dialogue, every scene. And the entire team, again, I want to thank the team for really being out there. Aparna Nadeg, who wrote the dialogues, Medhavi Mishra, who was working on the legal part of it, because there's a lot of legalese and language involved. And of course, Jaydev, who is also working on the script with me. So, and I was doing the script and the story. So I think there has been a lot of work that has gone into it, and I really want to mention the writers, because I think so often we are not mentioned, and I think we're where it starts from. So big heads up to this writing team, and really I would love to work with them again. It was just a tremendous experience. And of course, we had a great producer in Samar Khan, and from Juggernaut Productions, who is really hands-on, and he's a creative person himself. He's directed films and of course written as well. So it was really nice to have him involved in this project. And the Woot team, who brought out the first season. And it's very important when you're working on a project like this to have a team, the development team from the platform side, who's very confident about what they want and the sur they want to catch of the show. And I think the Woot team were really kind of in sync with that. They knew exactly what they wanted. And then as a writer, then that becomes so much easier. Well, I am working on other projects. I'm Samar. I think I definitely will work with him again. I think a lot of people think because, there is a BJP government in power. So if you're someone with a nationalist view, all the doors open for you. But I think in the film and the OTT space, it is very difficult if you are from a nationalistic viewpoint to get work. And I've had experiences as recently as in the last 6 months where I've lost out on shows because of what is perceived as my ideology, which I don't know why it should matter, because I never judge anybody in the professional realm by their ideology. You may have your political opinions, you may support Prime Minister Modi or not support Prime Minister Modi. It's a democracy. But unfortunately is happening is that it becomes increasingly hard because there is this kind of I guess this McCarthyism of sorts, where people are kind of pointed out or separated because of what their ideology is. So I faced the brunt of that. And when I worked with Samar, what I really liked about him was that he didn't bring any of that baggage. I after we started working, he mentioned to me, he says, "Oh, I didn't realize that someone told me. This is how the industry works. Someone told me that you're this kind of person and these are your beliefs." So I said, "Oh, does that mean I lose the show?" Because genuinely I thought that would mean I would lose the show, because that happens and that has been happening with me. And he just turned around and told me, "Of course not." He said, "Don't be silly. I only care about how you write. I don't care about all this. And it's your whatever you believe." And for me, that was just so empowering, and it really touched my heart, because I said, here's someone who cares about what matters, and that's the writing and the commitment to that job, and is ready to give you a chance to prove yourself and to work hard. And I'll always be grateful to him for that, and I hope that his tribe grows and people stop discriminating like this. I really do hope that happens. Thank you so much. Thank you.